What's going on, nerds? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about this little miniature kit right here, specifically set up to hold a bunch of our favorite BFS lures. What is BFS, you might ask? It is Bait Finesse system, something that specifically came out of Japan for very specific needs. Now, it's also one that I would say is quite diversive when it comes to the fishing community. 50% of people seem to be for it and say, hey, more power to you. It seems like a lot of fun. And or they might say it is highly necessary in certain situations and it's something that you shouldn't overlook. And then 50% of the community says it's a big freaking scam, BFS. So where do you stand on it? You can always let us know in the comments below. Where we stand on it is we think it's a ton of fun and there are economic ways to get into it. We'll drop future videos on that, detailing some of the combos that we've found and put together and tried in the past year and a half here that you can totally afford, that are an easy way to get into this and aren't gonna break the bank. Today, we are talking about the lures specifically. I'm gonna show you some of the plastics, terminal, and hard body, soft body lures that we're using all the time with BFS, and we are catching a ton of fish with these things. So what we've done is broken this down into two small packages, therefore we can stow them in a wading bag, a sling pack. So if we want to go wet wade the river or just go slim and trim in the kayak, we don't have to take much with us. So what I'm using for storage right now would be number one, this Buzbe Quick Cube in the medium deep size. So this is gonna mirror your 3600 size boxes and it's gonna be deeper. So there's a lot more room. So this stores every single BFS plastic and piece of terminal that I wanna use. I'm keeping the terminal in their original packaging. You'll see that in a minute, just because it's easier to tell what size hook. Once you get down under the 1/0 size, it becomes very difficult to differentiate and it becomes very easy to lose all that terminal. So keep it in the original packaging, it's just the easiest way to deal with it. I'll show you what I'm using in a second. And then we're using the Buzbe Colony 8 Thin. This is a slim and trim, tiny, like 3500 size box. This holds enough. It holds a lot of lures. You're gonna see, we're gonna go through it today, but check it out. So tons of room in here in this little tiny package. And because of its small size, plus the small size of that bag of plastics there, we can fit it into a sling pack like this Fish Pond Thunderhead right here. This is a full waterproof bag. It's submersible. You do not need that. But if you got a smaller sling pack, typically they don't hold 3700 size boxes. So we need to go for the smallest storage options that we can. Now, what's in the box? Let's take a look. Now this is like predominantly what I'm using throughout the year. This might change as air temps drop, water temps drop. We might do something a little bit different, but this is definitely what I'm using right now through late spring, all of summer, and most of fall. These will all work. Well, most of these will work. You'll see in a second. All right, so let's get into it. First cube I'm starting off with, just because these things are freaking cool and it's summertime that I'm filming this in. We got BFS frogs. So BFS frogs, they're hollow body frogs. They're just in a tiny package. This one right here comes out of Indonesia. It's called the Papinka, and I picked them up off of Bait Finesse Empire. Paul and I have been fishing these things. They absolutely catch fish. Loving this yellow and black color with that orange and chartreuse kind of coleslaw skirt coming off the back of it. Premium tie-in points. These things are great. You're gonna wanna switch if you're using a leader on BFS, which we use 99.9% of the time. You're gonna wanna switch that out to straight braid. And you're probably gonna want at least 8-pound test, if not 10, with some of these frogs. The other one I have is actually a very cheap model. This might look familiar. It's an Ozark frog. Honestly, I've had it so long, I have no idea, but this type of frog is the cheapest type of frog you can get. It's that basic hollow body design in a tiny little package. If you can find frogs this small, I highly recommend it. Super fun and a non-intimidating approach to hitting the pads. If you hook these babies up in the pads, you're gonna get bit by just about any species that's hiding underneath. Now, just for context, we got two combos we're throwing with these things. We got number one, the Cast King Zephyr. You see the braid is totally limp noodling on me right there because I cut a lure off of this for this video, but that's a Cast King Zephyr. No upgrades added to my model. Paul has done the Roro bearing upgrades. If you guys are looking to make the Cast King Zephyr, which is a nice budget-friendly reel, more fishable, I'd highly recommend the bearings. That said, there are way better reels out there for about the same price. One of those options is the Cernoia Dark Wolf. Also, you can find that on Bait Finesse Empire and a lot of other different places as long as it's in stock. Normally runs about 85 bucks, so it puts you at about the ticket of the Cast King Zephyr, and it's all around a better reel as far as what we've seen, and we've tested it out. So that said, that's paired up with a Shimano Sensolite, which is actually a light action rod, so it's not exactly ultralight. I now use that as my frogging setup. So that is straight 10-pound braid, no leader line, and we're hucking those frogs on that setup right there. Everything else I use is going on this combo, which is more of the premium option. So not saying you have to get this to do BFS, you definitely don't. It is just a setup that I am in love with, and we've tried a few other ones that we'll be talking about in those future BFS videos. But this is the Shimano Corrado in the BFS, so lighter setup as far as the BFS design goes, but you're still getting that heavy duty frame, you're still getting that Shimano feel, super smooth all around. I've had no issues straight out of the box. It's a beautiful reel and it works amazing. I have now put dozens and dozens of fish in the boat on this combo, so I feel very confident in saying it is awesome, and I'd highly recommend it. So there's the Corrado, and then you're getting the Dobyns Sierra series. This is the Ultra Finesse Dobyns Sierra setup. Very fun rod to use, very fun when you're catching fish. It's got enough whip to it that you can huck out lighter cranks on the BFS combo and feel very confident about that and have accurate casting. And you can also flip jigs on this thing, which I have done a ton of. You're gonna see some jigs in a second. And Texas rig setup. It is an all-around awesome combo that I'd highly recommend to anybody if they've got about 400 bucks that they wanna spend on BFS. If not, plenty of other great options in the sea. So let's get to the rest of these lures. Now this next category of lures makes me super happy. These are so fun to fish with. And I'm not like a big jig fishing guy. Like I don't use jigs that much. That might be surprising, I know. A lot of people love jigs. I love jigs. It's just, I catch on so many other things that I don't find myself reaching for the jig as often as maybe I should. And I'm looking to change that. This is the aggressively average anglers, by the way. Like this is what we do. If we're not utilizing a technique a lot, if we're not very good at a technique, we generally force ourselves to pick it up and start learning it as much as possible. We do that with everything out there. So if you like that, I don't know, maybe subscribe. So first up, let's check out the Ike's Micro Jig. Look at these babies. Ike's Micro Jigs are extremely affordable, well made. I recently did a trip with Paul on Lake St. Clair and we picked up a ton of fish, multi-species, on this jig right here with the chartreuse in brown color, which I unfortunately snapped off on at some point, so I lost that jig. But these are great jigs. I've fished them a ton now and very happy with them. Nice little bait keeper there, and they hold up, like I said, really well. They come in a 1/16 ounce, that's what those are. But this next jig I would actually recommend over that. It may be a little bit pricier because they are the JDM design. Look, it's like these are my eyes. What the frick? Anyways, these are the Kitech Mono Spin Jigs. These things are awesome. They are so good and they are made so well. Look at this. Get that premium tie on that skirt. You can see there's a little weedage on here because I've been using this green pumpkin one a lot. You get this probably useless weed guard right here, a little tiny weed guard, but that's fine. These things are light enough. I don't find myself getting snagged on these at all. And again, just like the Ikes, they are a ball head jig, but you get that like nice spider skirt to it. Really cool jig. Rig these up with some microplastics and you are guaranteed to have a blast. There's the PB&J color right there. Up next, we have one of my like all-time favorite BFS rigs to use, and that is this right here. This is the Mule Fishing Bronco Blade. So it's gonna look like that beetle spin. This is essentially a beetle spin with HD parts. This is just gonna hold up better. It's gonna spin better. It's highly sensitive. It is phenomenal. And you can just switch out the jigs whenever you want. So we've got unlimited color combos. Well, almost unlimited. But you got 4 different color blades that you can use. We've got orange. We've got one on the ground. We got chartreuse, the gold you saw me holding, and then there's the silver. Nice thing about these is they are extremely affordable at a 3-pack of one color for $3.49. Insane considering they'll last you forever. It's a spinnerbait. Like you're not gonna break off that often on these things. You will be impressed. So very nice setup. And of course we pair that up with a mule fishing jig, just a well-made jig with a mushroom head, right? Also extremely affordable. Speaking of these jigs, of course with the BFS, we would highly recommend that you slap on a donkey tail or a craw and you just go fish it Ned style, ultralight. Works really well. Let's keep going with those wire baits. Next up, we got these from one of our subscribers, Rocket Blades, and oh, the poor little leg is breaking off, unfortunately. But this is just a Colorado blade spinnerbait. This one comes from Ribbit and is pretty solid. Obviously, other brands out there, Booyah, Strike King, etc., they all have these micro spinners as well. Recommend just grabbing one in a 1/8 or a 1/16 ounce and you're gonna be good to go for BFS. This should be your search bait. This is the easiest way to find fish. You're gonna catch multiple species with it. It is super fun. And the nice thing about these little rivets is if you saw on my combo, just take that frog and unpeg a little weight up front. This is a 1/32 ounce Texas weight to a Ryugi Hobbit hook, which is a size 6 EWG, and you can topwater that frog. Caught a ton of fish doing that. So highly recommended. Spinner baits, get them in a couple different colors. Next up, you're gonna want some chatterbaits. This is about the most gosh dang fun you can have on the water is throwing these micro chatterbaits. In this case, these are the Flashback Minis from Z-Man, little chatterbait. You can get those in ultralight setups. They run naked just like this. You just slap on any sort of plastic that you want. They come stock with these little basic plastics. They are not made of Z-Man Elastec, so I don't really recommend them. I tend to just not use them after I get it out of the box. And then I'll use something that I want to use, just typically like the actual Z-Man Elastec, their micro fishing series. You'll see some of those in a second. Or I'm throwing on a mule fishing donkey tail and you're gonna have a blast. They come in a couple different sizes. Here's the 1/16 ounce. It's a smaller size that you can get. And they come in a couple different colors. In this case, we got gold and we got silver in the 1/8 ounce. Both great options for BFS. But if you want to dress it up more, go with the 1/8 ounce with a skirt. Check that baby out right there. So now in this case, this chatterbait micro is actually custom. You can see we got a wire tie there. Normally it comes with just a band. However, anytime you get those banded skirts, something simple you can do, you can pick up from fly fishing. Just throw some thread around that. Just throw some braided line around that and tie it off. And you're gonna have a much more secure skirt. That said, these come in a bunch of different colors. All your favorite Z-Man chatterbait or spinnerbait colors are available in the micro size. Get them in a 1/8 ounce and you are gonna have a blast. From there, we can't skip out on topwater. It's ultralight, it's BFS, doesn't mean you can't do topwater stuff. So pick yourself up a little Strike King buzzbait. Come in a bunch of different sizes. In this case, this is 1/8 of an ounce. And oh my gosh, are these fun. It's a little buzzbait. You can catch topwater on BFS just like this, and they will smack it as hard as they hit your normal buzzbaits. So from here, I like to go to one of my river staples, my well-traveled Mepps Aglia series. So the Mepps, if you're not familiar with it, is an inline spinner that is an absolute legend in the industry. And these things work amazing, especially on rivers. You got this little spinning Colorado blade up there with one inline hook that is treble, and it is feathered, right? So we've got some nice dressed setup here. This is a size 1. I would recommend going size 1, maybe a size 2, but no bigger than that for your BFS. Throw the size 1 in current, you're gonna catch fish. And I mean, honestly, anywhere that you see bait fish popping. So if I see some bluegill, if I got perch around, crappie especially, you're gonna catch them on these inlines. When in doubt, I'm typically throwing an inline just to see if there's fish in the area. Here's another version with kind of a little rainbow trout blade on there. Nice clean dressing, again, size 1. And then you can go with another variation I like, if you want to shake it up a little bit, rooster tails. And in this case, in black. So I've got 3 different colors of inline spinners in this box. that I can throw around and almost guarantee a catch. And then, again, if they're feeding up on bait fish, another option you can do is throw a gosh dang bait fish. This is another MEPS variation where we get a fish off the back end of that, which has a treble in the tail and 2 little hooks right there in the belly as well. This is a size 2, it's a little bit bigger, but it will get the job done. Last wire bait I got for you guys is a nice different variation. Single blade coming off the back of this. This is another one I found on Bait Finesse Empire, never knew existed. It's from Jig Masters, and it's just a micro spinnerbait. They use a mustad hook, and they've got some marabou hair coming off the tail that's very well tied off there. So really cool little variation. Marabou behaves totally different from a lot of these like silicone skirts in the water. So it's something nice to throw around that's just different. All right, next up, we got a whole bunch of body baits. And again, this is all still coming out of the same Colony 8 thin box. Right here, they're all in there. They all fit in, it's crazy. You bring a ton of lures and a tiny setup. So check this out, we're going back to topwater. We have one of our all-time favorites. We call it out all the time. This is the Rebel Pop R Teeny. So you go to the Rebel Pop R options in your store, you look for the microscopic size option. This is a smaller version that they come in. You get a well tied off dress treble there off the back. These things are reliable poppers. They give you every action you need, from walking to blooping, chugging action, whatever you want. This will do it in a tiny package. I've caught some awesome fish on this setup right here. Another great option with more premium parts on the market, and of course a little premium price tag as well, is the Euro Tackle Z Popper. I've messed around with this thing a little bit, haven't seen much action on it just yet, but I can say that again, it does have some really reliable popping action. It comes with those micro hooks on there as well. It's a great multi-species popper. From here, going a bit deeper, and again, going back to Rebel, we got like a little single hook craw crank here. I actually picked this up at Ollie's Bargain Bin, World, Land, I forget what it's called. The Ollie's store, where you get lots of discounted tackle. If you guys have one in your neighborhood, go check it out. You never know what kind of deals you're gonna get at that place, but here we go. Pretty cool option, especially great for the river. Loving the red, white, and blue of it, pretty neat. Just a really cool little crank. Something I have a ton of faith in is this Yo-Zuri Snap Beans. These things are micro package. Look at this, little tiny guy. Single treble off the back there, and they're very well balanced. Got a little bit of noise to them, and they catch everything. Get these things in a couple different colors, and you're gonna be really happy. Nice little shallow cranking search bait. Another entry from Euro Tackle here, we have the Z-Spender, little suspending jerk bait. These things are killer, especially look at this bluegill pattern. It's insane, holographic, beautiful design. They do what they are supposed to do. It behaves just like any other suspending jerkbait in just a microscopic package that you can cast on your BFS setup. Having a caster to deal with that, I can say for me, in my opinion, much more comfortable on a BFS versus throwing this on a spinner setup. But of course, you can throw this on a spinning setup. There ain't no reason why you can't. I know for a fact Paul has been doing that for a million zillion years because he's an old man, but it definitely works. Regardless of your setup, this is a great little jerkbait package. Really cool bait, super happy with it. And then we can go deeper with this. We can get deep diving crankbaits for BFS. Now, deep for BFS, maybe not as deep as you can get with a big package crankbait, but you can get down there. This will get down there about 5 to 8 feet. You can do work with this. This is the Euro Tackle Z Cranker. These things are awesome, very well done as far as the paint job goes. I love this like little green pumpkin splatter design that they came up with. You get those nice hooks, little micro hooks there as well. And then this one over here is a Lucky Craft actually, and you can find these. This one again, I think this also came from Ollie's, but you can find all sorts of different micro cranks on the market, whether they are brands that you know and love or JDM brands that you've never heard of before. You might be surprised. So go check out websites like Bait Finesse Empire out there where you can find these small package options. Gosh dang, that was a lot of baits. Again, all in here. We haven't even touched these. So I'm gonna speed through this real quick, but this is how I like to store all our plastics in terminal. Again, that way I'm only carrying around 2 different storage options. That's it, 2 little guys. So in here, I can tell you, you're gonna see a lot of mule fishing, but you're gonna see some other stuff as well. Let's kind of burn through the plastics real quick. Number one, absolute staple. If you guys haven't picked up these burrow bugs, you can click our link in the description below. You're gonna be very happy with them. If you're not familiar with mule fishing, they have their own proprietary, stretchy, durable, soft plastic. These things are awesome. They hold up really well. I personally have Texas rigged this exact burrow bug right here that I'm holding and caught 24 fish on it. And it looks like this. That's insanity. So these things are awesome. I can even see where my hook came out, but like, dude, an indestructible micro bug. There's so many uses for this. One of them is micro drop shotting. So on your ultralight spinning setup, highly recommend get like some 1/16 down to even a 1/32 ounce teardrop drop shot weights. And then get a mosquito hook from Owner. You're gonna see mine in a second. And rig this to it. You're gonna catch a million fish. So naturally we have those in every single color, and I split my packages like this too, so that I don't have to carry as many clamshells. I'd recommend you do the same. Because those mules last so long, just get a little variety pack. You've also got things like the Mule Minnow. Again, all the same stretchy, durable plastic. This is a 1.2 inch plastic. You can throw that onto a 1/32 ounce jig, and you're gonna catch a lot of fish on it. One of my favorite baits of absolutely all time, forever and ever, is the Donkey Tail Junior. This would be great for those Bronco blades on the lighter jigs, or just on a lighter jig by itself. Great trailer for all those micro spinner baits, for the chatterbaits. It's all around just a do-gooder. And again, variety pack it up. Get all sorts of different colors in the mix there. Here's another recent find from our buddy Rocket Blades. This is beaver bottom baits. And what's cool about these, other than the fact that they come in a bunch of different sizes and colors, and you get that two-tone with the tail here sometimes, but it's a nice chunky body bait for a jig. Oh my gosh, these are perfect jig trailers, and they're actually great drop shots too. We get that nice flat tail that gives you a ton of action. Throwing these on a jig, throwing them Texas rig, and drop shotting them have been the most successful techniques for me so far. Then we get into the Z-Man Micro Finesse series. It comes in a bunch of different designs, colors, everything that you could ever want. We got the larvas here, which gives you a nice little stinger tail to it. So tons of action, great on a jig, great alone on one of those little micro mule jigs as well. Another great trailer for the Bronco blade that I love, the shad fries. These things are killer. Just like a nice fatter body to it. So if you need to upsize a little bit, you want a little different action, this thing could be the ticket. And of course, no list of mine would be complete without the Shark Deuce. In this case, the Micro Deuce, the Micro TRDs in copper truce. That's your Ned rig profile, right? Slap that on one of those jigs and go nedding. Have a good time. Be a nerd. Another good trailer option that I like to use would be the Kamikaze Swim On. In this case, in a 2.5 inch. So they do come in a nice downsized option here. These things are perfect if you're going crappie fishing, but any of those wire baits we were using, this could be a fantastic trailer for. I mean, the full size version is one of our favorite trailers for all of the normal size chatterbaits and spinnerbaits. So why not in micro? Oh look, I found a bait because it can't be stored anywhere else because it's made of weird plastic. This is the Duo Realis No Moss Gill. If you guys haven't used this, it's a really cool swim bait. It actually can be swim-ditted. You can swim it like a swim bait, or you could just let it die. Like there's all sorts of things you can do with this, but you can see there's one single hook that goes through this. Oh my gosh, and it's got tons of lettuce on it because I fished the heck out of it the other day. Oh, there we go. So one single hook, basically a wacky hook with a weed guard that's pretty much worthless. You can just swap that out with any wacky hook, but it just goes right through here, which is actually going through a little metal eyelet in there, part of the body, so it's in there good. It's not coming out. The worst case scenario would be that the hook slips out as you're retrieving a fish. However, after catching about a dozen fish on this thing, I can say it holds up a lot better than I thought it would. And it's, again, that kind of like stretchy, durable material. With that, I found my best results were actually just straight cast and retrieve. Swim it like a swim bait. I was getting a ton of bites on this. That brings us to terminal. First, boring stuff, line, floats. One, taking these peg floats. In this case, you can get them anywhere. These are the mule fishing peg floats. Very affordable, come in a 2-pack like this. and are easy to rig and use. So if you're struggling, you want to do something different, just rig a jig below this and put on any of those plastics. You're going to catch fish, right? Just a little float setup, 4 plastics, works really well. No real live worms or bait necessary. Next thing I would recommend is something like this. So this is our leader line wheel. Now this is made actually mostly for fly fishing, tenkara fishing. And it's Nirvana on the fly. As you can see, I think we got these on Amazon for basically $0. You cut your leader line into whatever length leader you want. I usually go arm's width, so about 6 feet or whatever. So I do that, I cut 3 of them per side, and you can pull these tabs on either side and then label it with permanent marker. These are my 4-pound leaders. These are my 6-pound leaders. It's all fluorocarbon, and they are easy to unwind, and then you just got to tie your connection knot. You're good to go. It takes up this much space. It sits in the bottom of this quick cube from Buzbe, and it never gets in my way, but it's there when I need it, which is nice. One more plastic I totally forgot about, these reins. Again, I claim to not know how to pronounce any brand on the market. These are a 2.5 inch, call it the Ring Craw Mini, and gosh dang, are these cool little craws. That 2.5 inch craw, so nice and microscopic, good enough for BFS. It's got these big, hefty, floaty claws there that are gonna be moving a ton in the water. You can rig this any way you want. There's no wrong way to rig this, in my opinion. I could throw it on that buzz bait I'm gonna catch on it. Comes in a ton of different colors. I'd recommend getting a few, and you're gonna be really happy with it. But mostly, I'm Texas rigging that and having a blast. Texas rig on BFS has been one of my most productive ways of fishing it, and it's been super fun. It's so light that you're getting a lot of those bites on the fall versus having to really like flip it around on the bottom. So it's perfect for summer, like all the way through summer. It's so good. Another new entry as far as jig goes, we've got the ball head jig from NACO. Extremely affordable stuff that you can get on Amazon or on their website. And we do not work with them directly. They just gave us some stuff to try out. So we've got 1/32 ounce all the way up to like a 1/8 ounce. It's like as heavy as I would go. These 132s though, absolute blast. Look at that. Microscopic ball head jig. They're tied really well. Got a nice bait keeper on there. Rig any of these plastics on these, you're gonna be happy. I've also got that drop shot setup I was talking about. So I've been throwing the 1/16 ounce teardrop weights from NACO and pairing it up with the mosquito hook in a size 6 from Owner. These things are phenomenal. Great hook. I mean, it's from Owner, you know it's gonna be good. Size 6 is like perfect for these ultralight plastics where I can rig the minnow on a drop shot, and I could also rig what I've been throwing the most, the burrow bug, the craw on this drop shot. I've been talking about Texas rig a lot, so what weights are we using for them? These right here. You can get your super basic lead mold stuff. We got these from our buddy Rocket Blades. 1/16 ounce and 1/32 ounce. Great options. And then you can get fancy tungsten ones too. We got these from NACO. Also, again, super affordable. 1/16 has been my go-to. The 132 I actually used, I showed you with that frog for topwater. Come out. And that's the Texas weight you're using. Look at that thing. I can't even, this camera won't even focus on it. And that is how big these weights are. So that's why they stay in here. There's really no better way to store them. As far as the hooks that I prefer to use for these, if I'm using the bigger plastics like that Rhines craw, then I might upsize to a size 2 or 4. But most of the time, I'm using one of these two right here. So this is the Ryugi Infinite Hobbit. You can actually get these on Tackle Warehouse. It took some searching, but we found them. And these are in a size 6 and a size 8. And you can just see, look at that. Look at how small these are. Absolutely insanity. Nice thing about these packages though, you don't have to tear the top off. They peel open off the back and they are resealable. So just to give you the size profile, look at this thing. That's how little that is. But it's an EWG, so you can rig anything to that and Throw it Texas, baby. Finally got two other techniques that we like to use on BFS. Number one being the free rig. So these are 1/8 ounce tungsten free rig weights. You can see it's got a little eyelet there. That allows this weight to slide up and down your line, giving you kind of similar to like a Carolina rig approach. And on BFS, that can be a blast. Like you're gonna get it. The other one is brand new, and I haven't tried these yet, but Paul has caught a few on them. And what we've got is from Buzbe, these little tiny, they all look like grenades, weights, right? And these things are designed to just attach to a hook. Now you could throw them off of like a little wire leader if you wanted to as well, or directly to the hook. You throw a little split ring to your hook eye, snap this onto that split ring, and then you have a swivel above that. And what that allows you to do is probably similar, I would assume, to a Tokyo rig. There's all sorts of different stuff you can do with these. These are all tungsten, by the way. Very cool baits. Something you guys should definitely check out. I'm having trouble reading the instructions, but I'm sure somebody can. And I'm gonna be looking up some more videos on these so I can learn more about them. But very cool little baits. That's a lot of stuff, right? Like in 2 tiny little packages, we covered just about everything you could ever need for BFS on the water. Again, we've had a blast with all these baits. I have had a chance now to fish just about every single one of them and catch a fish on them, mostly on that Dobbins Corrado setup that I showed you guys. Now again, BFS, is it a big friggin' scam or is it big friggin' swell fun? It's up to you. You have to decide for yourself, like how much do you want to invest into this? We know we took a jump on it and we found out we love it. Right? It's something that we have a ton of fun doing, and if we have fun doing it, then just keep doing it, right? Don't worry about what everybody else is saying. Hopefully this video was helpful for you guys. If it was, be sure to drop a comment and a like, and be subscribed to the channel. And we'll catch you guys on the next video. See ya.